Through different synchronicities, I have been realizing more and more the importance of identity in this world. I have observed as the world recently increased their emphasis on the left and the right, also known as the left wing and the right wing. This is but another label placed on those around us. Why the labels? I struggle to make sense of the reasoning behind certain things. It's kind of like the Karen thing. An individual called Karen does something that is perhaps laughable, so Karen becomes a new label. Is this really fair to those beautiful individuals named Karen? Every single one of us plays a role in shaping the world around us. Through labels, we simply create division and point fingers, rather than celebrating the inevitable and quite often beautiful differences between different groups. People feel attacked, so they take it upon themselves to return the favour. Justice and equality create interesting pathways. We create more balance and a sense of belonging if we start to accept everyone where they are at right now. Are we a progressive society, or are we simply creating more division between groups? Nobody is a winner when everybody wants to win. That's not to say that only one group should step down. In my eyes, both groups should not only step down, but seek to find better, more sustainable ways of communicating. We place ourselves on a metaphorical pedestal, but so does the other, and it becomes impossible to resolve the conflict from this place. Until such time as all parties stop pointing fingers and start working as one, we will continue to observe division. To live through consciousness instead of pushing our own bull onto people will take us in a better and more balanced direction. From this place we start to see both perspectives, and both groups can start to work towards healthy compromises. But we must heal first and release that burden that we carry of anger towards those who have hurt us. I used to hold anger towards a certain community. I had gone through much pain in connection with that group. On my road to healing, I had to face this anger head on. If I did not look at it, I would still be carrying the burden of anger towards them. While I was working through this lesson, I noticed some quite egocentric individuals move very quickly in and out of my life. They offered me a reflection of both myself and the lesson I was there to learn. These lessons were perfectly designed to give me clarity. Slowly but surely, I started to release this death grip I had on the anger that I held within. I released the pent-up aggression and frustration that I was holding on to, and somehow managed to transmute this into love. It wasn't easy, but it was most definitely worth it. We will continue to hurt others until we release our anger, let go of triggers, forgive, heal, and release unhelpful patterns, such as gossip and manipulation. How can we resolve something from a place where we continue to increase that divide between the different groups? When we speak in hatred towards another individual or group, it often will stem from a place of trauma. And the truth is that it creates more trauma out in the world. Our sense of place, home and belonging is not just attached to the present moment, but it can be woven through our ancestry. It can also be very much attached to our own self-love and authenticity. Space and place are woven through symbols, not only physical symbols, but also the laws and culture created by those who lead. These symbols have the potential to either foster a sense of inclusion or exclusion. Sometimes we cannot see the wood for the huge tree that has grown in front of it. It's important to look at this situation as a whole and make sound judgments from that place. Is this what our leaders have been doing? If so, should we be questioning their agenda? I found out recently that there are 2 boundary streets at either end of Brisbane. These 2 streets are a symbol of the exclusion of the past. They represent the boundaries that were attached to a curfew that was forced upon Aboriginal people at the time. They were not legally allowed to step beyond those lines after a certain time every single day. This should serve as a reminder of where we have come from and should help us to focus on creating a more equitable future for all. The truth is that deep healing of a relationship of any kind can only ever happen once both sides are ready. We can set an intention to create more unity within our own culture, or we can choose a path that further separates and segregates. If we look at what is going on in the world today, division is being encouraged on so many levels. The divide and conquer approach is not okay. I will not ever pretend that it is. Studying how we can gain influence and then using it against another individual or group to make them feel small and boost our own ego is not okay. There needs to be a balance out in the world. A healthy ego is a healthy ego until it's not. I've noticed that aggression and entitlement is becoming more and more prevalent in the world today. My observation is that some teach others to be selfless so that they themselves can be comfortable and also selfish. A behaviour I previously learned was to constantly compromise, adjust and make myself small. I have more recently been learning what it is to be assertive while trying to let go of this idea that I must be aggressive to get my message across. I am an empath, so I have also been learning how to avoid constantly onboarding other people's thoughts and opinions as my own. We are all here to learn different lessons. Often these lessons will try to gently nudge us out of our comfort zone. If we are too comfortable, we cease to learn and grow. We can therefore expect to be challenged by the universe. What we decide to do with these inevitable lessons holds a great deal of weight, not only in the sense of how we handle the lesson, but our attitude towards it. I want to shine a light on a quote here. It's by Tony Gaskins. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. This quote is very true, but I ask you to ponder on what the world would look like if we all choose to be selfish and never compromise. What would it look like if we were all on a constant mission to teach another how to be? When there is an imbalance in power, for example, one is overly selfish and controlling while the other is generally selfless. This can lead to codependent relationships or trauma bonding. For the world to balance out again, people must do that healing work. This is how we gain clarity on when selfish becomes too selfish and selfless becomes too selfless. We step into our true beauty at the point that we start to heal from our pain and suffering and start living through consciousness. That is the moment that we start to open our eyes to the brokenness of the world. Most of us can see that the world is broken, but many of us can't truly see the underlying themes as to why it is so broken. I used to wear rose-coloured glasses. In putting on those rose-coloured glasses, I was ironically living through the lens of fear, shame, division and control. I would hide myself for fear of conflict and to keep others comfortable. I would constantly shrink into the shadows for fear of being seen, but at the same time wonder why I wasn't being seen and heard. I tried to be an optimist, but was probably more a pessimist, as I felt this sense of lack in my life and like nothing was going my way. More recently, my observation is that fear, shame, division and control are but an illusion, one created to distract us from our identity and our true, authentic self. Many of us get sucked into this illusion that fear creates within us. I am not immune, I have been there too. I can finally look fear in the face and tell it to go away, as it holds no place within me. I wonder what the world would look like if there was no light and dark. Without darkness, would it be possible to experience soul growth in the way that we currently do? Would the darkness perhaps consume the world? Or are there perhaps so many that are currently awakening to their soul purpose that the darkness will end up becoming consumed by the light? Or perhaps we will continue to seek balance between the light and dark in this world for centuries to come. Every single day, we have the opportunity to dance with and celebrate both our light and our dark. It is truly liberating when we learn to embrace all parts of ourselves and others, when we can accept things exactly as they are right now. Consciousness says that we have the power over our lives to create that which we desire. If somebody else has achieved something, then so can we. In recent months, I've considered learning to sew, not because I think I would love sewing, although I guess you never know, but because as a teenager, it was suggested that I was terrible at sewing. To learn to sew, for me as an individual, is representative of being able to achieve absolutely anything in this world. It's funny how such a small thing can hold so much weight. It is becoming increasingly important to celebrate authenticity within both our own lives and the lives of others. To do so, it is important that we create stability and happiness within our own world first. When we choose to put ourselves first and fill our own cups full before anybody else's, we infuse ourselves with the energy and power to shine a beacon of light for others as well.